Chris and Chris preview the Stanley Cup Final rematch. And should the Golden Knights target a superstar or go for depth in free agency? That's up next on Locked On Golden Knights.
You're Locked On Golden Knights, your daily podcast on the Vegas Golden Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Good morning, friends. This is the Chris and Chris edition of Locked On Golden Knights. Today, we're going to talk about if the Golden Knights should target a superstar, Mitch Marner, or possibly look at some depth options in free agency. Before we get to that, of course, we're going to talk about the Stanley Cup Final rematch. Just want to remind everybody that you can catch the Chris and Chris edition of Locked On Vegas Golden Knights every Saturday-ish on YouTube only. And then myself and Tony Cordasco record Locked On VGK Monday through Friday. You can get that anywhere you get your podcast and on YouTube. We have a special guest on Wednesday. We have the folks from AFP Analytics coming in. AFP Analytics they discuss free agent projections, AAV term, all sorts of things. And we're going to learn about how and why they put these projections together. Chris, all the season for nothing, all the playoffs for nothing. It's the same two teams in the Stanley Cup Final. Why do we have to waste all this money going to Golden Knight games? Why do we have to waste all this time watching the playoffs? Why couldn't we have just tossed the Panthers and the Oilers back on the ice and made it nice and easy? So are you excited, Chris? Are you cool with it being the same two teams in the Stanley Cup Final, or would you rather have seen, and again, besides the Golden Knights, but would you have rather seen some variety, or are you cool with the rematch?
I mean, I'm 50-50 right now. I know this is the first time it's happened in a while, but also I kind of hope that two different teams aren't just to mix things up and not be a Tampa Bay Lightning on winning two Stanley Cups in a row.
So besides, of course, the Golden Knights, besides the Oilers, besides the Panthers, what two teams would you have rather seen in the Stanley Cup Final?
I think honestly Washington was a threat. I wish Washington-Tampa could have been a conference final, and Washington could have won that.
Who do you think in the West you would have rather seen besides the Oilers and the Golden Knights?
Honestly, the Kings put up a good fight in that series, but Edmonton had them cornered since the beginning. I could highly tell you that series was going to happen right there. On the upper bracket, I wish the Blues could have won. I wish the Avs could have won. I wish whatever happened up in that area of the bracket could have been the exact opposite.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I think in the West, the Jets would have been a nice story. Of course, everyone loves Connor Hellebuck. I would have been okay with the Blues making a run and just having that story. And yeah, in the East, I mean, listen, give me the Caps, give me Logan Thompson, give me Ovi. That would have, of course, been my dream scenario was Golden Knights Caps. But we got a rematch of the Oilers and the Panthers. First gut, Chris, what do you think for first gut reaction? Who's winning the series? Let's start there. Let's go backwards. Who's winning this series? Oilers or Panthers? How many games and why?
McDavid isn't losing 2 cups in a row. I think Florida takes a good 1-0 lead. Edmonton bounces back, make it 2-1 in the series. Florida ties it up, and then Edmonton just wins game 5 and 6 to take the cup home to Edmonton.
Edmonton in 6. I'll match that, Chris. I think I'm with you. I mean, I want McDavid to win. Again, no one deserves a cup. I hate the term deserve in sports. No one ever deserves anything. This is going to be a hint of our pregame motivation, just so you know, for our hockey team on Sunday, by the way. Everything has to be earned, and I think McDavid and Draisaitl will find a way to earn it. And something I was thinking about right before we went on, Michael Jordan, best basketball player of all time. I was fortunate enough to be a Chicago Bulls fan in my youth, and I still am. I just don't watch any basketball, but I'm still a Bulls fan if someone asked me that question. And I got to watch as about your age, maybe a little less, a little older, but at your age, I got to experience the Chicago Bulls and Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan had Scottie Pippen. Connor McDavid has Leon Draisaitl. Michael Jordan never had the right coach. Enter Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson comes in. He's an absolute wizard of the Zen master and everything. And then it wasn't Phil Jackson. It was Tex, I think. E-Runs or a Chicago friend can correct me, but created the triangle offense, and there it goes from there. But point being is every superstar needs a great coach. You don't really win without the right coach. So maybe Chris Knobloch is Phil Jackson as Phil Jackson was to Michael Jordan. Of course, we'll learn more about that later. So all that said, I'm matching you Oilers in 6, but Oilers, they got it tough. No Zach Hyman. Let's start talking about the Oilers for a second. Zach Hyman, awkward hit, not a dirty hit, but takes an awkward hits, and he's out for the rest of the playoff. He had 11 points in 15 games, 5 goals. Vander Kane has matched that with 11 points in 15 games. On the defensive side, Evan Bouchard, 6 goals, 11 assists, going up the ladder. Nugent Hopkins, 5 and 13. Draisaitl, 7 and 18. And McDavid might have the quietest 26 points in 16 games in the history of a Stanley Cup Final. Dude might finish with 37 to 42 points, depending on how long this thing goes. Stuart Skinner on the goaltending side has found his game. Oh, my Lord. I cannot believe we're talking about this. But Stuart Skinner, since starting terrible, is a 2.53 goals against and a 904 save percentage. 904, Chris, is notable because he was in the low 800s to start. So what do you think about the Oilers in general, Chris, as I give you some stats and talk about some goaltending in there?
Honestly, they're a team that isn't easily going to be beat. Every year I see them as a threat. Every year I see them as a major threat. Because they're just one of those teams. There's some of those teams there's some of those teams who are like, okay, we can beat them. But then there's teams like the Oilers, those kind of teams are like, okay, we need to lock it. We need to win this. And I honestly think the Oilers are one of those.
Oilers are a wagon. They're a powerhouse. They were kind of quiet during the regular season, and then their game has definitely come together in the right way. And they elevated their game, obviously, a lot more than the Golden Knights did. Golden Knights had a significantly better regular season than the Oilers, but Oilers have elevated their game to the next level. On the Florida Panthers side, no one was
One thing I remember from last year, I think it was like the very first or somewhere around the beginning of the Chris and Chris show, when the Oilers are doing like terrible in like November-ish, I think. But they were close to last place. I literally said they would win the cup against the Bruins. And
I'm trying to see if I have the video still up here. I don't know if I have the video queued in here, and I don't think I do. I would show it, but I don't have the video here anymore. Yeah, no, Chris did call that. Chris 100% did predict that.
And then if it wasn't for whoever got the second Florida goal, that would have been right in the middle of November when the Oilers were doing terrible.
100%, dude. 100%. Let's talk about Florida for a little bit here. The big move for Florida, of course, acquiring Brad Marchand at the trade deadline. There's a lot more to this Panthers team. Brad Marchand, though, 4 goals, 10 assists. He's 4th in scoring in the playoffs for the Florida Panthers. Alexander Barkov, 17 points. Sam Bennett, 16 points. But Sam Bennett's got 10 goals. That's incredible. Sam Bennett, also a free agent. A lot of people are saying he should come to Vegas, but Panthers got a lot of cap space. I don't know if that's going to work out or not. Maybe a preview of segment 2. Matty Tkachuk, 5 goals, 11 assists. On the goaltending side, we get Sergei Bobrovsky against Stuart Skinner again. Bobrovsky started all 17 games, 12-5, 2-11, and a 9-1-2. So Physical series coming up. A lot of aggression, a lot of anger. First couple of games will be incredibly physical. It might slow down after that. So, recapping, me and Chris are both on the Oilers in 6 games. Let's do some VGK talk in the next segment. Superstar or depth? What path should the Vegas Golden Knights take? Short break. We are back. This is the Saturday exclusive YouTube edition of the Chris and Chris show for Locked On Vegas Golden Knights. Again, you can catch this every Saturday on YouTube, or if you want daily content, myself and Tony record Monday through Friday, anywhere you can catch your podcast, and on YouTube. Again, Wednesday, we got the folks from AFP Analytics joining the show. They're going to talk about how they develop all of their projections for free agency. And me and Tony got a list of questions to throw their way as we just kind of learn about their role as far as free agency goes. You wonder if the teams pay attention to these analytics and everything, or I got a whole bunch of questions I want to ask these fellows, so I'm definitely looking forward to that. And yeah, I'm also looking forward to the offseason for the Golden Knights. It's unfortunate, Chris, right? We wish we wish we were doing a Golden Knights Stanley, Cup Final preview edition, but that's not the reality. But the fun thing about being a Golden Knights fan, supporter, podcaster, whatever it is that we are right now, the fun thing about this is the Golden Knights are an absolute content machine. Kelly McCrimmon, the Golden Knights general manager, is not going to sit still and just, we're just going to make some small moves and see what happens. No. McCrimmon is involved in everything, not just in the free agency, but when it comes to trades and changes in the season and everything. So the big talk right now is, should the Golden Knights, do they need another superstar caliber player along the lines of a Jack Eichel to get this team over the hump, Mitch Marner? Or is it about looking for some depth pieces? Now, Chris, keep in mind last offseason, March or so, superstar season, 42 goals. Chandler Stevenson, 50-plus point. I think it was 62 or 63 points. Don't quote me, but Chandler Stevenson had a good season. And then depth pieces, Amadio, Will Carrier, Alec Martinez, not really a depth piece, but kind of, I guess, are gone. In comes Victor Olofsson and Ilya Samsonov, couple in-season trades for Brandon Saad and Riley Smith. So, Chris, I'll start with you, man. Do the Golden Knights need one more Jack Eichel type, or should Kelly McCrimmon go into the bargain bin and find a couple less expensive players? Now, before you answer, Chris, if a Mitch Marner or another $10 million plus players coming to the Golden Knights, there's changes to the depth. So, Chris, superstar or depth, where should Kelly McCrimmon go next season?
I honestly think that it should be a superstar. You need that Eichel just to do what the Oilers are doing right now. To get to the finals. And honestly, if we had one or two more superstars in the series, I honestly think we could have won it. So.
Defensively, things did go really well down the stretch for the Golden Knights in that series. And then, if you look at the totality of the series and the fact that Draisaitl and McDavid didn't have a lot of points, I think the Golden Knights played the series the right way. But, Chris, where they lost the series possibly was in the battle of the depth. You had lesser-known players out there getting big, timely goals out there. So you have to wonder, if the Golden Knights push their chips in on a Mitch Marner, the team is likely without, I think they find a path to extending Riley Smith, but the Golden Knights are probably losing players like Nick Waugh, Nick Hague. Brandon Saad won't get extended likely. So basically, on the defensive side, I think Caden Korczak is ready to take on a daily role. If Nick Hague winds up being the collateral damage for a superstar like Mitch Marner, fine, so be it. Life is good, right? But if a trade is involved for Mitch Marner, which is something being talked about, the Leafs might like a William Karlsson type player and like a Nick Hague. And then the Golden Knights still probably have to trade another piece away, like a Nick Waugh, to make enough salary cap space, because it's not just what they spend on Mitch Marner, it's about having enough players to field a roster, ice a roster. So basically the fourth line becomes a Brett Howden maybe between a couple players from the Henderson Silver Knights. So this goes to the second part, Chris. Can the Golden Knights, like something that I put out there, as crazy as this sounds, Jonathan Marchessault isn't happy in Nashville. Go figure, right? Are you surprised at that?
No.
What if the Golden Knights were able to trade back for Marchessault, have the Preds eat a little bit of his salary? The Golden Knights find like a couple gritty players, like a Nick Cousins from Florida. You still trade Nick Hague to create some salary cap space, and Korzak comes up. Does something like that excite you, Chris? Having and Marchessault is that bridge between a superstar and depth. I don't think he's a superstar, but he can definitely play well on Jack's wing, especially if Dorofeev goes up on that line or something like that. You never know. So if they go the depth route, Chris, remember, that's kind of like what the 22-23 team was about. It was about depth. They came at you in three lines. So I guess what I'll ask, Chris, do you feel the league has changed to maybe you need more superstars? Or can you get by with the depth?
I honestly don't think that will honestly win you many games. I think if they do that, it's either a repeat of season 5 or a repeat of season 7 or 2. Because I think honestly, if you go for a superstar, I think Vegas at least makes it to the conference final. But if they go for the depth, that might have to wait another year or two.
Well, and give Kelly McCrimmon some credit too. If he does go the superstar Mitch Marner route, just throwing that out there, he's going to find some other players. I don't know the player's name offhand, but there's a Russian player from the KHL that the Golden Knights are rumored to be lightly pursuing quietly. And well, the last player the Golden Knights got very recently from the KHL that's made his way up through the ranks, of course, Pavel Dorofeev. Now, the Golden Knights took some time to develop him in the American Hockey League with the Silver Knights. We used to love watching Pavel play for HSK. He was one of the few reasons made us want to go to games down there, to be completely transparent. Back at the Orleans, when we used to actually really enjoy going to the games. Yes, we enjoyed the games more at the Orleans than Lee's Family Forum. I will happily concede that. I thought the team embraced the AHL mentality a lot better down there. Maybe we'll save that for the napkin for another time. But you look at, the Golden Knights' history of maybe, finding these players, Logan Thompson, Brandon Wheatking's connection. No one in the AHL wanted to even look at Logan, but of course he had that history with Kelly McCrimmon, and look where Logan Thompson is now. So just maybe McCrimmon finds another player like that somewhere out there, or the Golden Knights scouting staff, or maybe a player is a Trevor Connolly ready, 19 years old with the Silver Knights to make a move to the roster. You never know. You never know. So that's the interesting thing if the Golden Knights go for the superstar. So one last time, Chris. Mitch Marner, Vegas. How does that sound? How does that sound to you? Mitch Marner, the Golden Knights. What do you think?
Honestly, again,
100 points last season. 100 points for Mitch Marner last season. 70 playoff games, 63 points. How does that sound?
Honestly, I think if we go Mitch Marner again, we win. We at least make it to a conference final. Go for the death. We're repeating a season 5, or 2 or 7.
So basically, long story short, Mitch Marner, Golden Knights go farther. If they go for more depth pieces, you're comparing it to this past, or you're comparing it to last season's loss against the Stars. Season 2, that Game 7 loss against the Sharks. I don't know if that's fair. I'm never one to dog the refs, but that major penalty and everything kind of screwed that up.
What I'm saying is, I think it'll take longer if we go for death. I don't think if we go to death, it's a total loss. But I think it'll take a little longer to develop.
And Chris, that's a good point. But the problem is with depth, you're saying it's going to take longer. The Golden Knights don't have time right now. Petrangelo's getting older. William Karlsson is 32 years old or 31 years old, or is he 29? I don't know how old William Karlsson is. I guess somebody should have looked up before I just threw that out there. All right, let's see. Now we're Googling live. William Karlsson age. He's 32 years old. Like I said, his birthday's only 4 days before mine too, but 12 years off. I'm old. All right. So yeah, the Golden Knights don't have time. William Karlsson's older. Jack Eichel's 29. He's not old, but he's getting older. Alex Petrangelo's up there. Mark Stone is up there. And Ivan Barbashev is, I think, over 30 now. So that's the thing. The Golden Knights don't have time. That's why I think you push all the chips in. You get a superstar. You hope the stars align with the depth. There needs to be a lot of luck for a Stanley Cup situation. Has to be a lot of luck. So that's going to do it, Chris. I think we'll definitely reconvene next Saturday because we'll have 2 Stanley Cup games played. We can talk about the series, and I'm sure we'll have some more Golden Knights news to discuss as well. Again, reminder, you've watched the Chris and Chris edition of Locked On Golden Knights. We record every Saturday-ish, is a good way to say it. Every Saturday-ish, YouTube exclusive. If you want daily content, myself and Tony are the host of Locked On Golden Knights. It is the only daily Golden Knights podcast. For myself, for little Chris, for Tony, we want to thank all the everydayers. If it wasn't for your support, this show would not operate. So a big thank you to everybody who takes time out of their day, their week, their month, their year to spend a little time with us. Have a great day. And, take care. That's what we always say. Take care. Goodbye. We're done.
Let's go Oilers.
Let's go Oilers, he says. Ay, ay, ay. Ay, ay, ay.